social studies, that is from the history portion, chapter 1. That is India in the medieval India. Now, what is medieval period? Okay, we know that all human beings, okay, we have means formation of human life, okay, from the primitive people to the present world. Okay, now in olden days, when people do not know how to make food, do not know how to make their own houses, they eat the raw foods and stay anywhere they want. Okay, they were just like animals. But slowly and steadily, we find that people started developing their behavior, okay, by inventing new things, and started occupying land after another for settling down. In this system was also prevalent during the time of the king's rule. Okay, now India was a land. Okay, India was a land of rich heritage. Okay, now here we find that there was a time, okay, when some groups of people from outside India, they entered into India and tried to occupy the land. Okay, this time when the foreigners entered into India and started ruling our country, that period when different kings from different countries started ruling India, that period is called or was called as the medieval period. Now, this medieval period was also divided into two types. Okay, now medieval period, how it is divided, you see. Okay, the medieval period is divided into two types because in one part we find that some of the medieval India. Now this medieval India, this period, okay, is divided into two types. Now first part and this is the second part. Okay, the first part was ruled by Palas, okay, Pratiharas and Rashtrakutas. Okay, now these are the first part. These different kings of different dynasties started ruling in the first part of the medieval period is known as it's the first part of the medieval period, and the second part, okay, just see, the first part is ruled by three dynasties, but the second part we find that the medieval India was not ruled by many dynasties but by only one, that is known as the Mughals. Okay, now these Mughals were the dynasty that ruled into India for a long period of time. That's why we find that the medieval India was divided into two periods. That is, the first period which was ruled by the Palas, Pratiharas and Rashtrakutas, and the second phase was ruled by the Mughals, who ruled India for a long period of time. This is all about the medieval India. Now let's move into the change of the name. Okay, changes of the name. We all know that India has many names. Some of them, sometimes we know that India is also called as Hindustan. Okay, another one, in the name of our country is also called India. Now another one, another name of our country is Bharat. Okay, we have three different names. Now, how did these names was given to our land? Okay, in olden days, we find that most of the people, okay, those who resided into India are Hindus. Am I clear? Now, those people means those people who were there present in India, mostly they were Hindus. That's why the land, means this land was named after Hindu, okay, and named it as Hindustan. Now here, after Hindustan, let's move into Bharat. We'll see India later on. Now Bharat. How is our land given the name of Bharat? Because we find that in our country, Bharat, okay, there was a king named Dushyanta. Okay, there was a king named Dushyanta, and that time was taken from our epic Mahabharata time. Okay, there was a king named Dushyanta who has a son. Okay, whose name was also Bharat, And accordingly, Dushyanta has named our land as Bharat according to the name of his son Bharat. Am I clear? This was the name, this was how the name Bharat was given to our land. It was given by a legendary ruler, Dushyanta, according to the name which suit his son's name, whose name was also Bharat. And third one, India. Now, all of us, we know that India is a land where the river Indus. Have you heard of the name river Indus? Indus is a river, is the name of a river. Okay. Now, the another name of the river Indus is also known as Sindhu, or we can say Sindh. Okay. It's derived from the word Sindhu. Now, here, accordingly, this river Indus is not flowing in India at present. Okay, but in our historical time, the part where the river Indus flow is also was also a part of India, and that's why we find the land which comes nearer, or which gets the which gets the benefit from the river. Okay, that land was named as India, and this name was given by the Britishers. Okay, now here, where now you all will be confused where river Indus is now. River Indus, I think it's if you go to the geography, or if you go to the atlas, it is somewhere near the border of India and Pakistan. Okay, if I am not wrong. Now this is how the three names Hindustan, India and Bharat was given to our land. Okay, now this is what according to the Hindus, according to the history. Now let's, after the changes of the name, let's move into the sources now. Now all of us, we know that the world is much advanced from before. In olden days, we don't have any kind of television, we don't have any kind of computers, we don't have any kind of memory card, we don't have any chip, we don't have any recorders. Yes or no? But how do the people, the modern people, came to know about the historical events? This is the main important thing. Okay, what are the sources, means through which we came to know about our history? Now, all of us, we know that India was not advanced, but there were some sources through which the collection of various data gave us a very quite important information about the history, and that was, let's see what are the sources. Sources means the way, through which we get. Okay. Now, literary source. Now, what is a literary source? Now, in olden days, there was a tradition. Okay, in olden days there was a tradition that when a king ruled, okay, in a kingdom, the king keeps a recorder or a writer with him, along with him, so that whatever the king does, the writer puts into a record through writings in a book. And not only this, we find that many foreigners, okay, who have interest in other foreign countries, the history of other foreign countries, the writer from other foreign countries also, they come with the other people or ambassadors, okay, and keeps a record. Ambassador means a representative of another country. Okay. Now, this is what we find, that through the writings of these various writers, we came to know, means their books, if it is not burned or is destroyed, then the books will be surely there. Yes. Now, these books gives us the data or information about our historical events, which kings was ruling from when and when, what things he did, what processes, what laws he made. All this information were collected from these books. Okay. And regarding the literatures, means the writings. Okay. Here are names. Some of the names has been given along with the names of the books. Okay, for example, the Al-Masaudi, okay, he was an Arab traveler. Then many other there, you go through the book, you'll come across Al-Biruni, Ibn Battuta, then Domingo Pias, then William Hawkins. There are many writers, okay, who gave us records about our Indian history. Now this is what about literary source. Now let's move into the archaeological sources. Now what is archaeological sources? Now in olden days, many kings or many rulers, okay, they built up many temples, mosques, then walls, then corridors, okay, they built up many things, buildings, we find that. And on that buildings, what the king or the constructor did, that they gave the name, who was they gave the name or written on the buildings, who ordered to make the building, and in which time, in which year, in which day, and who constructed the building. All these details were also written in some of the various historical buildings, or we can say the monuments. Okay, now from these buildings and monuments, when we go roaming, okay, when we go traveling and find the buildings and temples and mosques, by seeing these, they got the collection of various reports from these buildings and monuments. This is what about the archaeological sources means. The buildings and monuments, they give us the information about which king gave them the order to make, or who made the buildings, in what date, what all this, okay, this is known as archaeological sources. Now after that, let's move into the economic changes now. Now economic changes, we find that economical changes means changes which is made, okay, which is made for communicating, which is made for communicating the daily wages, or so we can say the things which are used by person every day, means the food we need to eat, the clothes we need to wear, these things have to be bought every day, yes or no? Now here in olden days, we find that there was a system in which a people or a person, okay, if he want another thing, he has to give one item to that another person in order to get the thing which he wants. Okay, this is known as goods exchange, or we can say exchange of goods. This system was followed in olden days, but when the king started ruling, we find that the king has gave them an alternative way by making a coin, okay, by supplying them with coins as a means of exchange. Now whatever they wants to buy, they can give the gold or any kind of coin for buying the things. All of us, we know that whenever we go to the market or whenever we want to buy anything, we give money. Okay, but in olden days, the process was not like that. In olden days, goods or things were exchanged with one another. But when the king started ruling, they invented the exchange of coins for the things, and that is known as barter system. Okay, now this is what about the market system. Now when we go next to the way of agriculture, okay, we find that in the land of agriculture, the invention of a Persian wheel. Now what is a Persian wheel? Persian wheel is when we go to the fields and all, when we see the farmers doing the all this kind of agricultural work, or we can say the irrigation work, this Persian wheel came into invention. Okay, it is the wheel which regulates what we call it as water or something like that. Okay, now this is a very important one, this invention of Persian wheel in irrigation. These many changes in the economical sector of our land. Now let's move into the next to our reason to empire and the religious tradition. Now this is what? Now, in our historical time, we find that the kings, okay, what they do, they used to fight with one another with lots of armies and all, and whoever wins, they conquered a new land. Okay, this was a war or struggle between different kings. Now in that time, in this medieval time, we find that this one struggle was very famous, and that struggle was the tripartite struggle. Okay, now this tripartite struggle was fought among the Palas, Pratiharas and Rashtrakutas, which we have discussed in the first phase of the medieval India. Okay, now in this tripartite struggle, we find that who became more powerful. Now here in South India, the Cholas, okay, the Cholas, which was one of the part of Southeast Asia and China's, or we can say those people who, the foreigners who came from China and Southeast Asia. Now they became more powerful in the southern part of, the southern part of India, and in the northern part we find that the Mughals, or we can say the Delhi Sultan. The Delhi Sultanates were also the Mughals. Okay. Now this group became powerful in North India. Am I clear? This is what about the tripartite struggle. Now here let's move into the religious tradition now. About the religious tradition, there was a time, okay, when different preachers of different religions try to preach their own religion. For example, Christian will also try to preach their own Christianity. Hindus also, they will try to we find that they will try to teach their own religion. Like that, in the medieval time, there was a spread of religious learnings. Okay, and this spread of religious learnings, which preached about the Hindu religion, came to be known as the Bhakti movement. Okay, and another one, we find that there was a group which tried to preach about the Muslim tradition, that came to be known as the persons, those who were engaged in preaching of the Muslim religions, were also called as the Sufi Zains. Okay, Sufi Zains. Now this was the preachers of different religions during the medieval time. Okay, they also kept a record about our Indian history. Now through these preachings also we came to know about our Indian culture and heritage. This is here where we come to the end of this chapter. Please try to look into the videos properly and try to understand the lesson. It's very easy.
Stay home, stay safe, do it for yourself, do it for your family, do it for India. Let's break the chain of COVID-19.